Is teaching pragmatics. Sources reviewed on the topic of teaching pragmatics discusses issues with teaching pragmatics, such as teachers simply following textbooks in the classrooms rather than implementing meaningful interaction and authentic dialogue or application.
So here's a statement found in the article read that discusses the issues in teaching pragmatics.
And it states, finally and probably the most disconcerting was the finding that ESL teachers rarely provide supplemental materials when this was not adequately provided in the primary text, either because of lack of time, inclination, or training. So just to recap, summary of pragmatics. Pragmatics is a study of practical usage of language derived from the perspective of users. And there are three major communication skills. Use of language for different functions, such as greeting, informing, demanding, promising, requesting. Appropriately adapt or change language according to listener or situation. And follow rules for conversation. Knowing how to tell a story in its order or structure, let's say a book report. Why is teaching pragmatics in a meaningful, interactive way important? We have to consider pattern of conversation, discourse markers such as so, however, then, say, look, and, but. Styles of talking, right? There's formal and informal. In informal language, it's how we talk to our peers or at home, and then we have formal, how we talk to our teachers, instructors, or professionals, and code switching, which typically happens with bilingual speakers, such as, like, let's say, Spanglish or Tex-Mex, when we're talking in English and then incorporate our native language dialects.
And for this presentation, we will focus on activities that have been developed according to the article in reading by Brian Reese to bring meaningful interactions to teach pragmatics into the classrooms. The bottom line of teaching pragmatics is for English language learners to minimize errors or misunderstandings when communicated in the target language. This can be done through engaging in exercises that focus on cross-cultural communication. And some keywords are cultural misunderstanding, cultural differences, and cultural importance.
So, point one, an issue. The lack of pragmatic skills can become a problem since it's through language that we need to communicate and interact with each other.
Additionally, to become a truly competent speaker, grammatical command of language is not enough, but also social linguistic competence. And this competence requires recognition of appropriate styles, execution of politeness routines, and awareness of instances to speak or remain silent.
Even though pragmatic cues can be acquired over time outside the ESL classroom, this can take a long time and involves trial and error. So, essentially, just being aware of pragmatics is not enough.
Cultural differences can add a further sense of isolation and distance in situations where the lack of proficiency in a second language already puts an English language learner at a disadvantage in satisfying wants and needs, leading to possible issues with security and self-esteem. Inappropriate use of language, either as a result of lack of linguistic foundation or uncertainty as to its application, can result in thwarted attempts at economic advancement and lost opportunity in academic promotion if simple needs are not adequately expressed.
Native speakers will generally make allowances for grammatical mistakes with a second language learner. However, if non-native speaker makes a pragmatics error, he or she might be considered boorish or uncooperative or inconsiderate or rude, especially if the speaker is grammatically competent. Pragmatic errors thus create a mistaken reflection, not of less than proficient second language user, but of a flawed character.
And so there, I'm gonna pause it there because that's all we have so far.